Hi everyone, I am Yeonju. It is the third week of our technical session. Today, I will continuously give you the technical education how to set the policy in the Genial Net admin console. So today agenda is the top feature that customer mostly use. Okay, let's start it. So before we start today's session, we will quickly review what we learned from the session 2. Okay, let's start to how to set a policy on each use cases. So please take a look at the slide. There is a pattern, all of the slides from here. So I have set all of these slides with the requirement and its policy. So we are going to first check the requirement and its policy in the slide. And then we move to the UI and apply what we learned from here. Okay, let's take a look at the first of the use case number 1. Let's start to see the requirement in the use case the first. So first use case requirement is the how to authenticate employee in the office. So IT manager wanting to the regular employee, who especially marketing team one, make them the authentication. So the first requirement is that they should get their own ID and password for authentication. And second requirement, they are required to install the GenialNet agent. So with this requirement information, we move to the policy part. So as you know, in the policy, there are 3 sub-menu, right? The first one is node menu, second is node policy, and third one is enforcement policy. So let's check the first one of the node. In the requirement information, the node means the group. The groups can be a marketing team 1. So as you know, in the node menu, there are 2 types of the group you can create it, right? So normally marketing team, this group can be recognized by its own IP and especially the subnet range. So you should create the group as the title of the policy group, which are fixed information. After you creating the group in the node menu, you should move to the node policy to set of the authentication and the GenialNet agent policy. And third one, enforcement policy. So as you know, in the requirement, there is no comment about that we should block or we should allowing or we should redirect. There is no comment about that, so we can skip this policy about that. Okay, I'm going to show you how to create this policy in the UI of the Genial Admin Console. Can you see the screen of this one? This is the login page of the admin console with GenialNet. So after you successfully deploy the GenialNet, you enable to access to the admin console. So please fill out your ID and password and click login menu. So by default, the dashboard page is appear, but today we are only focused policy menu. So I'm going to click this button. And I'm going to make the menu, make it short to make you look more easier. Okay, the first use case we first have to do is that making the group. So please click the group and click node, and then the creating group pages appear. So as you can see, this group is already made by the GenialNet by default, but we are going to make our own group. So we should click the text box. So now we are going to make the policy group. So you should select this one, created for node policy. And then the page appear. The first step, we should fill out ID. It means that the title of this group. So I'm gonna make this group name. like this one. So I'm going to put this name section 3 underbar regular underbar marketing. So I want to put the name of it, the regular employee who is specially working in the marketing team 1. And second, you should double check you are creating the group for the policy group. And third one, you should select the status of this group as the enable. So after you creating this group is automatically is working. And next step is time to make the condition for defining this group. So please click the add button. And I'm going to make the 2 conditions for this group. So first one, I wanted to recognize this marketing team by its own IP. So I select several, I select one of the objects, especially the IP, and operator, I'm going to select subnet. And then the value data, I'm going to put by myself, 96 to 168 and 10 to 1. And then I select the 24. Before I click the edit button, so please make sure that I'm going to click the end button. So can you see that? So there is one criteria has been added. And I'm going to add one more. So please click add again. And I wanted to define this group as the node type, especially this node type should be PC, window-based of this PC. And then I click the end button. So there are 2 conditions is the add-on. And then you should select, you should click save. Now you can see here your policy group has been made. So the P icon as the policy group and your group name is the session 3 underbar regular underbar marketing 1. So devices, one of the devices among this subnet range and the device type is a PC, the result is classified into this group. Okay, we finished created the group. And the next step, we should give the policy in this group. So we move to the policy part, especially node policy. And we create the new policy here. Click the text and please select the create. So you should select the create policy for your new policy. Please don't forget that we are creating policy for the group to make them authentication and install the Genius agent. So we are now making that. And then click the next. So I also need to fill out the ID. So I'm going to make the name like this. Session 3 underbar compliance marketing 1. So I want to check the marketing teams if they are following the compliance. So click the next. So it is time to select the group. So as you know, node policy only allowed the group of the policy group. That's the reason there is only policy group is appear here. And I'm going to select this one, which has been already just made it in the node menu, and put them here. Click the next. So this section is the policy preference. Do you remember the last session 2? In the policy preference in the node policy, the function is the 3 function. First one is authentication policy. Second is the agent policy, and third one is management policy. So to make your device's authentication by its own ID and password, you should select this one, password authentication. So after you set this one, devices in this group, and once a Genial NAC detected these devices, and this devices has not ID and password for authentication, this Genial NAC make these devices redirect to the page into getting their ID and password. And then requirely, so you should select these choices. And also, I wanted to select this one as well, auto log out as the on. And I set the time 24-hour, which means that between the devices and Genial NAC has not communicated over the 24-hour, the devices automatically unauthorized status. Okay, let's move to the agent policy. The agent policy, its agent means here is the Genial NAC agent. So if you wanted to require devices install the Genial NAC agent, you should select this as the on. So any devices in this group detected by Genial NAC, and it has been found that there is no agent of the Genial NAC make these devices redirect to the page installing the Genial NAC agent. Okay, and I also wanted to save agent fail-safe choices as the also on, and I'm going to select the time 1 hour. So which means that between the agent on the devices and the Genial NAC, if they have not communicated over an hour, Genial NAC make these devices and make this agent maintain this agent with the status of the very latest version of the setting. So I select this as the on, and I'm going to click the next button. The next button, it is about agent action, but in the first user cases, there is no mention about we should have to collecting of the information from the devices, right? So we don't have to select over here, just to skip it and finish. So as you can see on the screen, there is one policy is created in the node policy. So this is the how you created the first user cases. Please check the pink box in pink letter in the requirement. So IT manager correct the visibility of the MKT, especially the first requirement, IT manager wanted to correct the information if the devices updated the latest version of the OS, and if devices has been already set up the password. So let's move to the policy part, what we should in the policy. First one is node menu. We have already created the policy group for marketing, so we don't have to do it. And second, node policy. So we should add agent actions. Agent actions, the function is correcting and gathering the information from the devices. So the second use case requirement, IT manager wanted to information if the OS is the latest one and password setting. So we move to the agent action and then add on two agent action into the policy. So let's move to the how to create this policy. So you have already made this policy, right, for the regular marketing team one. So just click the ID and then scroll down the end of into the end. Can you see that there is the section of the agent action? Okay, let's do that. I'm going to show you how to add on the agent action in this policy. So I'm going to select assign box. So there's a small boxes that pop up, and you can see that there is several objects in the list. It means that you can select one of them, put here, And after that, genuine next select the information that you choose it here. So the mission is that we should find that OS information and the password setting information, right? So I'm going to put the keyword here, OS. Can you see the three objects appear in the list? But let's say that the marketing team PC is all of the based on the window basis. So you should distinguish, you should recognize that uh, window based it and iOS based it. So I'm going to choose this one. Correct the computer OS information for window and put them here and click the add. And you see that one agent action is added, especially OS information. And the second one, password, right? I'm going to put the keyword password. So can you see that the check password validation, there is only window version is up here. So I put them here and click the add. So can you see that two agent action is add on the group for regular underbar marketing team one, and you should click update it. So now you can see the modified the policy. So the marketing team is now under the policy of the authentication by ID and password, and also should install the Genius agent. Plus, Genius is going to correct information if the password has been set and OS version is the latest version. So this is the how to create the policy for the second user cases. So third user cases requirement is that IT manager wanted to remediate some devices in marketing team. So especially if the devices OS is out of date, IT manager want to make them into the latest one version. And if devices has not set the password, wanted to make them into the password setting. So previous user case number one and number two is about the creating the group and correcting the visibility, collecting the information from the devices, right? So after you get the information, you finally wanted to control something. Control means like allowing, denying, or remediating. So in this case, you should have to create the group the first. So let's move to the policy part. So in the node menu, you should create one group, especially status group. As you know, status group means about the devices or groups condition, right? So we should create one status group, which means about the devices which has not compliant with the company regulation. So after you creating the status group, and then you jump up to the enforcement policy and decided this group is denying or allowing or redirect. But in the user case, third user cases say that if some devices has not compliant with the company regulation, IT manager wanted to make them in the redirect for remediation. It means that permission of the CWP in the Genius network. Okay, let's move to the UI. I'm going to show you how to set this policy of that. So we should first create the status group. So click the group and click the node. And then click the text box. And now you are making the status group. So you should click the create. And then first step, you should fill out the ID here, right? So I'm going to make this name is the like that. And the next step, you should make the condition for defining this group. So in this group, the function about the finding devices or the group which has not following the company compliance. For example, the OS version still is the out of date, password has not set yet. So I click the end button, and in this time I'm going to select agent action, and I'm going to select operator was not performed by, which means that this group is the target for which who has not performed the agent action. So if you click the value button, there is a lot of agent action is here. So we should select some of them. So do you remember we have already added on the agent action on the node policy, right? It was the check password validation. So click the add, which means that a devices in the marketing team one has not checked, has not set the password, and the devices is classified into this group. And second one, I'm going to select OS, not latest OS version. So correct the company OS information, and then click add. So to agent action is add on. This is the condition defining this group. So I click the save. So can you see that there? I think we should find that where it is the status group. We just made it. Yeah, here. Can you see that? So this group means that the devices which has not password setting, which is still out of date of the OS, the result classified it with into this group. So we have finished it to create a status group here. So let's move to the enforcement part. So after you creating this group, it is time to deciding allowing, deny, or redirect. So we move to the policy part and enforcement policy. We should click the enforcement policy and click the text and select the create. So you also select the create policy for your new policy and click the next. So I'm going to make this policy name as the Section 3 under control security setting, the marketing one, and click the next. It is time to select the groups. As you know, the enforcement policy, you can select both the policy group and status group or either one of them. But we have already made it the group status group just before, right? So I'm going to looking for that here. Section 3 under about non-security setting in the marketing team is targeting for the policy. So select the next. So it is very important. So at the permission part, you should select which permission you want to enforce them. So I want to make them permission CWP because I wanted to make them set again of the password and also set again of the latest version of the OS. So click the next. So it is time to setting the CWP captive web portal because the once a devices which has not set the password and out of the date of the OS, GeniusNet make these devices redirect CWP page, right? So you can choose that using the CW page by the GeniusNet, or you can select your own customizing URL. But today I'm going to using this one by default, the CWP page by GeniusNet. Plus I wanted to also leave this comment here like this. Please follow the below step to access the corporate network, and then click the next, then finish. So Please look at the screen. There is the one policy is the created on the list. So devices, especially in the group of the marketing one, which has not follow of the password setting, still using the out of the OS, and then once they are detected by GeniusNet make them redirect to the page of CWP for the remediation. So this is the how you create the policy for use case 3. Okay, let's do the use case number 4. Use case number 4 is about the correcting the visibility. So IT manager wanted to see the inside of the marketing one, especially if they are installed antivirus. So let's move to the policy part. So we don't have to make the creating the new group for node policy because we have already made it, the policy group of marketing one. But we should add one agent action more, especially checking the antivirus installation. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So please click the node policy. And as you know, we have already one policy created here, right? So this group of the marketing is under the password setting and the latest version of OS. So here I'm going to add one more agent action. So please click the ID and scroll into the end. There is agent action, right? So click the assign. You can put the keyword like the antivirus, okay, here. So you can select on one of them, but what about this way? So let's say that you are IT manager, you wanted to collecting the information, especially specific brand of the Kaspersky app antivirus installation is in your endpoint, in your the regular employee devices. So in this case, you should create your own agent action. So I'm going to show you how to make your own creating agent action because we are using very variety version of the application and software, right? So I think you have much more chance to create an agent action once you set the policy. Okay, click the cancel. Please move to the agent action. This agent action have been already made by the GeniusNet. It is just the user cases. You can use them also, but you can also create your own agent action. So please click the text, select this created. So, and I'm going to make the name. This agent action name is like this one. Session 3 underbar detection Kaspersky antivirus AV installation. So this agent action function is that if the device is installed and has a file of the Kaspersky antivirus installation file. So name is like that, and you move to the agent action part. Today I select only window. So this agent action is learning only window-based it, and then click the end. I select program file because I wanted to check if this program file is existing in the groups in the marketing team 1. So operator is equal to the value I select program file, and I put the information put the information by myself like this one. So this agent installation file is existed in the program file, existed in the devices in the marketing team group. So click the end. And after that, scroll down and you can select which version of OS will be running on it. So I select all of them. So these agent actions will be running this version of the window, and then click the create it. So please click scroll down Can you see that? There is the one agent action has been created. You hadn't made it. So let's move to the next one. So we have already made it agent action, and then we should move to the policy, click the ID and scroll down. And now we should add on the agent action we have just made it for collecting the information, the devices. So scroll down. Can you see that? There is the agent action here. You just made it here. And then put them, click the add. So add on the Kaspersky antivirus installation agent action is add on here, right? And then click the updated. So let's look at the policies. The policy is modified. So now this group is the policy, is the under the authentication with the ID and password, and should install the GenialNet agent plus GenialNet correcting the information to these devices, especially password has been setting, Windows OS, the latest one, and Kaspersky antivirus, the software installation file is in there. So this is how you created the session use case 4. Next use case 5. So after you correcting the information from the devices in the marketing 2, the IT manager wanted to remediate if one devices in the marketing team has not installed AV, the IT manager wanted to make them redirect to the page for installation antivirus. So let's start how to create this policy. So, and for this policy, you also created status group again. And the status groups, the function non-antiviral installation in marketing 1. So it means that devices, including the marketing 1, which has not installed the antivirus. So if some result is classified into this group, after that, we jump to the enforcement policy and setting the policy as the permission CWP. It means the redirect for them. Okay, let's move to the how to make it. Okay, we first move to the group and click the node. Okay, and click the text box. So now we are creating the status group, which are grouped conditions, right? So please click the create. And then please fill out this title, this group's name. And I'm going to name it like that. Session 3, non-antivirus AV installation in marketing team 1. So I wanted to find the devices which has not installed antivirus. So please double check you are creating the status group now. And status should be enabled. And let's start to make the condition for this group, defining this group. So please click the end button. So the purpose to making this group is to looking for searching a group which has not antivirus, right? So we have already made the agent action for detection. So click the agent action and was not performed yet, especially antivirus installation. So this one we have created just before, right? So click the end button. So there is one agent action is add on. So any devices in the marketing team 1 has not installed Kaspersky AV antivirus yet. So the result is classified into this group. So click the save. This is the policy group, right? So the policy group that we just haven't made it here. Can you see that? So this is we have just made it. Yeah, we have made the status group, and next step is time to decide it, allowing, denying, redirect. But IT manager wanted to redirect them to install antivirus again. So we should move it to the policy, make them in short, and then policy, especially is enforcement policy. And click the text and select the create. And you should select the create policy for your new policy and click the next. And we should fill out the name on it. I'm going to name like this. Session 3 underbar Control AV uninstallation in Marketing Team 1 and click the next. So it's time to select the group. So enforcement policy, you can select the two types of the group, policy group, status group, or either one of them. But we have already made it one status group before, right? So I'm going to select them, this one. Put them here. So this is the target for the enforcement. Next step, you should select among them. I select the CWP because I just want IT manager want make them to redirect to install again of the antivirus software. And then next, and then CWP page, I'm going to use the GeniusNet. Then click the next, and then finish. So as you can see on the screen, one policy is created. So which means that the group of the non-antivirus installation marketing has been detected by GeniusNet. The GeniusNet make this group, the devices, redirect to the page for install the antivirus. So this is the how you created the user case number 5. This is the end of today's the user cases that I prepared today. So I really appreciate you spend a lot of time. It takes about 15 minutes. I'm sorry, it takes about a long time. So I really appreciate you joining the session 3, and also you enjoyed it session 3 today. So thank you so much your precious time with us. So and the next week, this is the third week of the technical session. I will give you more informative information to you. Thank you so much today. Hope to see you next week.